Mike,
Hey, how you doing?
good. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, we got you and the guys there.
No, it's just me. The other guys had to work.
They had to work, so I got you.
Yep,
I got you. Well, I'm going to pick on you bad today, Mike.
that's good. I'm here.
All right. Well, let me open the show and we'll get right with you. All right, brother?
Sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to No Cover TV Podcast. That's right. I'm your host, Big Al. And you know, I've been promoting music since '97, the original local and national music scene. And I just take it and I shove it in your face. And sometimes I have to slap you up with a little bit, but it's about the original music scene. All right, people, turn the radio off once in a while. Quit singing the same old stuff to yourself. Stick your head out that window. There's a lot of great music out there, and I'm sure my artist today is going to agree with me on that. Yes. So we do have a great show for you. We got a lot to cover. And with the music I've been actually jamming to, the artist in the house is Mike Alvarez with the band Scarlet Curve. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, great. It's a beautiful day
Great.
out here.
Yeah. So how's it going in Wisconsin? You're in Wisconsin, right?
Correct. We are based out of Stevens Point, Wisconsin.
Okay. All
So,
right. Let me ask you this. I'm in Michigan. Did you get hit by that storm last night?
no, we were fortunate. We've been in the heat wave. It's been like 100 degrees here. So,
Yeah, we had that heat wave, but then the tornado hit us. So I've got trees I've got to be chopping up here after the show.
oh, there you go. You got your day filled. Yeah, I'll be
Oh,
doing so getting some food plots in here for the property for the deer and stuff after. So we got a little bit of nature reserve here that we get a chance to enjoy.
oh, that sounds nice. I liking that. So I got a lot to cover with you. I didn't know if I was going to have you or the whole band, so I got a little everything to chat with you about.
Okay.
But since I got you, Mike, I'm going to pick on you pretty bad, I guess.
Sure.
So, but I'm going to tell everybody, I've been checking, Scarlet Curve out, and Scarlet Curve is on the platforms in there. Check them out because I'm on YouTube. Well, I'm on Spotify right now, but they're all over. So I want you to get on the platforms. And when I tell you to push the button, start listening, or you can start listening now, but pay attention to the podcast too. But what I'm hearing is some indie rock with some punk, a little alternative edge to it. And I'm hearing a little blues in there, Mike.
Yeah, it's great. We really had an eclectic group of guys together. When I first put this project together, I had Joe Gomez, who is our lead guitar player. He approached me, and I had come off a label off Minnesota, and I was just ready to take some time to form a serious project, but I needed to put the right people in the right place. And when
Oh,
Joe first came aboard, I asked him just right up front. I was like, "What are your influences?" And he said, I'm a metal guy. I love metal, speed, gore, all kinds of stuff. And I said, it's probably not going to work. It's not my style. So he came
right.
back the next day and he's like, hey, I can play pretty much anything, everything. He's like, I'm a serious guy. I want to get together. And I kind of said, no, I just don't want to be, it's stylistic differences. And then he came back a third day. And I remember telling my wife, I was like, this guy keeps coming back. I said, I think I'm going to at least meet with him and see where it
Yeah,
goes. And so
right.
we sat down and I told him, I was like, hey, I'll give you like 15 minutes. And we sat down and I played a couple songs and he just lit it up. And I was like, okay, he can feel it out. He's not just a fast finger guy. So I'm like, this is our guy. And then as we started to bring in our drummer was definitely a blues guy. He came out loving the Blues Brothers, other blues influences. And then myself having a huge British early 90s alternative stuff. Matchbox 20 came in there, Oasis. There's some bands that you may never even heard of that really helped shape our sound. There's a band out of Pennsylvania called Riverside that was really, they were forefront of how to use the effects with the Rickenbacker sound. So that
Okay.
really gave us a really cool, jangly but catchy.
All right. Well, that's what about the bass player? Let's talk about him.
Paul really is the backbone of this band. He's probably the most musically talented. Um, but basically, feet on the floor. Here's where the direction needs to go for the song. Let's stop. Let's put it together. Let's reassess what it needs, not what we want to put into it, but really musicality wise, what fits and what sounds good together. So
Yeah.
putting that all together, we were just able to come up with something that really we call it music for the masses because we can go out to a college and the college kids can understand it. We can go to a fundraiser and the adults, they get it and they love it. So just like this last weekend, we were at Rooster Fest, and it's a Stevens Point campus area college kind of thing, and they brought in a decent crowd. But we can go to a town like 2 weeks ago. We were in Terranova, Wisconsin, at a biker fest, and it was amazing to see bands that were coming from all over the place coming up to us after and going, "Wow, where are you guys from? We've never seen you before, but now we love you." So it's always cool.
Yeah, you have an awesome song. I mean, it's really groovy. It's cool. I mean, I've been jamming to it. I mean, I'm actually tapping my foot at this age.
Yeah.
You got me going. I'm loving this. And we'll talk about the music a little later here. But yeah, I dig it. Are you doing most of the writing and handing it to the guys and they're just taking it on with it? What's going on there?
So we do have a very collective way of writing. I'll come up with the basic rhythm section for it, the vocals, the vocal line, harmonics, how it's going to go, and then we'll meet as a group. And Paul, our bass player, usually puts down his bottom, and then our drummer's really really good about going, "Hey, this could go a little bit faster or slower. Let's make some breaks here." And then Joel, our lead guitar player, literally is able to filter around what we have. But he does have a pretty good input also as far as the direction that he can take the song, because I can come in with a song that to me might sound very very smooth, and all of a sudden it turns out to be an edgier song, which I might have not thought it would have been there, but just with Joe adding his effects behind it and his crunchiness, we like to call it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't wait till we get to talking about the music here. Now, when did it all start? Before COVID?
We've been a band for about 17 years.
17 years you've been at this.
Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate to keep, obviously we've had some lineup changes throughout the past, but the current lineup now, about 7 years, we've been the straight four of us now. 2018, we got together and never stopped and just kept going. Pre-COVID, we thought, do we go on tour? And, we had Old Man was actually featured in a movie. Once that movie kicked off, then it just opened us up to crowds that we never may have been exposed to. So if you're looking for a really cool soundtrack, the movie's called Go Fast, Pull Up. It's the Jimmy LeVance story, and the guy that put that movie together really found some unique bands that fit into that style of movie, and it's really cool.
Nice. I want to talk about that song too. That's one of them I want to talk to. Now, well, 17 years, I was just going to ask, were you guys just really great? Were you in previous bands before the 17 years?
Yeah, I was originally from the Racine area. I was in a band called the Sandcarvers. That was an Irish Celtic rock band. Our lead singer at the time was from Belfast, Ireland, and phenomenal voice. We signed on to Orphan Records out of Minnesota. And back in the day, if you were on Border Books, On Cue, Sam Goody, Tower Records, Best Buy, you could walk into a store and see your CD on the shelf. And, we had a chance to go out to Nemo Music Showcase in Boston. And that was a very eye-opener for us, because we got a chance to really see what the industry was like at the time and how those music showcases were basically slave auctions for bands, is what I kind of explained to people. Is you had a lot of the A&R reps out there, a lot of the people that were going to make the choices of who was going to be the next band. So we got a chance to jump on Orphan, and it was at the time it was good for what we needed. It we needed the distribution, we needed somebody that had contacts that we didn't have. So
Right.
it got us into places that we never probably would have gotten ourselves into.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I'm going to say right now, I'm just hearing a little clicking noise. I can hear you just fine, but there's a little clicking noise. So I hope you don't mind. Sometimes
No,
there's a technical difficulty. We call that in the business, right?
Yeah.
So, but it sounds good, brother. Sounds good. So that is awesome. So let's jump over to this side of the page, because we don't want to go to the other side. Well, no, I actually do want to go to that side right here, that one. I'm taking you on a ride like I do most of my artists. You're going in a time capsule with me, Mike. How's this sound?
Sounds awesome.
We're going to have fun now. Oh, brother. Can we go back to when you were 10 years old?
10 years old. I was taking guitar lessons.
Guitar lessons.
It was funny because you'd watch all these guys and they'd say, you'd go to school and they'd be like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I would see these guys say, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a firefighter. And I remember seeing MTV going, man, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I was like, they got it. We were watching bands come out, like Rat was coming out, early Crew and Twisted Sister. And then it was where I finally, you kind of got exposed to stuff that you might have not normally thought you'd like, but a lot of the synth music was coming out too.
Yeah.
So, you got a chance.
Great era.
Yeah. I mean, you still can't beat that 80s sound and 90s sound. It's just, they're not making music like that anymore.
No, I want to touch on that in a second because I started there. So as you're 10 years old, you're starting out with guitar here. When did you figure it out? What age?
I would say probably 11, 12 is, I grew up kind of playing in the church, actually, playing music on the side there too. And then we started with the air bands were really when it came out where there was a show here in Wisconsin called Putting on the Hits. And we were 12 years old and we had a group of kids in the neighborhood that really didn't know how to play their instruments yet. But when these air bands came out, you could fake it that you were actually playing these things. So we would go into these competitions and we actually ended up winning where we were on the television show. And I remember going to it was a hall called Memorial Hall. And at the time it was huge. And for 12-year-old kids to go out there and be on TV and hear the crowd, as soon as the crowd started to push us, like it sounded like a wave of just, behind us, they're cheering for us. And I walked out of there at Cloud9 going, I'm never giving this up. I don't care what I need to do if I need to practice or play every day. That's for me.
That's great. So how about let's stop forward here. When did you get into a band? When was your first band?
I would say our first band, we were probably 14 years old and we started playing hardcore punk. We didn't, we had a couple guys that the scene was really cool here in Wisconsin. We were part of a movement that nobody really knew how big it was. We would have bands come in that they would rent these Eagles Club halls. And we would have bands like the Circle Jerks would come through, the Exploited, Social Distortion. I mean, they were bands that, at this time, we didn't know how big it was going to be. And you would get 5-6 bands together and they would pull in, they'd get a couple half barrels at an Eagles Hall. And $3 you could see 5-6 bands that night. And we were just, it was, the time that was there, the style, the kids, it was just a huge movement. And I remember looking back at Another State of Mind with Mike Ness and those guys from Social Distortion and thinking, we were with those guys, when they were going through and Monk on the Bus and them guys breaking down. And, we still see guys here in Wisconsin. There's still a pretty big push in the Milwaukee area for original stuff. Central Wisconsin, the Valley is really starting to get hot too.
That's cool. That's cool. I can remember the days, the cornfield parties. Of course, we still do the VFW parties up here where I'm at. So anyway, you can do it. And get your music out there. That's what it's about. Get it out there. So I want to talk about what is it? You got a newer CD out, don't you?
Yeah, Decennial, we finished. We added some songs onto it that when we started writing it, we sat down and we all talked as a band. What direction do we want to go with this? And my thing is, I had said, I want to make music that's sellable to the industry. With movies, television. I always write if some of our newer stuff is even better than what's on there. I always write with the view of, hey, if there's a girl walking down the beach holding hands with a boyfriend and they're going to break up and, what's the song and what's the style behind it? There's some bands that are out there that were pretty influential when Grey's Anatomy was still putting out that heart tug, I call it, music. The Fray comes to mind, so we kind of wrote towards that style, and that's really where it's gotten us out there.
That's cool. Yeah, I think so, because you've got quite a few fans that like what you're doing, I see.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate to be in the right places and do this as we've looked at it as a business. How do we do it? I mean, we all have really good jobs during the day, but we all want to do this to the utmost as much as we can to get it out there, and the fans really, when they would come back after a song was played and they would tell us that song touched me more than you ever thought. And I would say, well, why? You know, explain to me what you thought or what you felt it. And they would say, hey, this is something that was like a moment in my life when I was even having a good time or a bad time, and that song got me through it. You know, we had a song years ago called Merry-Go-Round, and a guy got back to me one time and he says, hey, I need a copy of that. And he said, that was actually in my wedding. And I was like, really? Holy cow, who would have thought that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's what's cool about the music. It's just, it's fun. It's just, it grabs you. You want to move, and like I said, it's fun. I mean, there's nothing negative to it. It's a good time, and I like that. I appreciate that, Mike.
Yeah.
I do. It's great music. Great music. Now, do you have any other CDs out?
So we are in the process right now of just finishing the next disc coming out. That is going to feature Ghosts. Ghost is our new single that just took off. It was written, we kind of got creative when COVID happened. We didn't know what to do because all the venues that we had booked shut down. So we thought, how do we continue to get our music out there? And we were on fire. I mean, we literally looked at it, all four of us looked at each other and went, we're writing some of the best music we've ever written now. We're in the studio doing this. How do we finish getting this disc out here? How do we finish getting the songs out here? So we got creative and we started to write through Zoom. So we would actually we would sit down and I would start writing stuff. I would be in the bathroom. It was the best part because I could get some of the best acoustics of the bathroom. You know, and I would sit with an acoustic guitar and I would record it and then I would send it to our singer, our drummer. I would send it to our bass player. I would send it to our guitar player, and we would get back together and we would go, okay, here's where we're at with this. You know, does this fit? And it was different writing that way because we were so used to seeing each other, hearing each other. I mean, you could still see and hear it, but it wasn't that live feeling. And we finally got it perfected where we could change stuff and come back and add it, record it. So we did Pieces was one of the singles that came out of there. Ghosts was another one. And so after Ghosts was finally started to be released is when you see the 11 amp series came out, where that was the huge band shell shows that they do during the summer. So they actually took the video for that for us because the COVID had shut that down. And that's where you see the Ghosts from 11 amp series video. That was a cool video. I mean, once you see that, you can tell they put some money behind it.
Oh yeah. Now, what do you think about, like 17 years ago, we didn't have these platforms to put the music out. You were opening your trunk, putting your posters up and passing out those cassettes probably.
Yeah. I remember trying to figure out how we could get the most copies for our flyers for the least amount of money. And at the time, you're going to Parkside College, and we figured you could go to the copy machine and you could pour on a page, and then you could use their paper cutter. And we used to hit cars in the parking lots. We'd go to the beaches, we'd go to the bars, you'd hand them out. And, you know, you would see the next day where you'd come down Main Street and hundreds of flyers laying on the road. And you're like, did these people really get the amount of effort that we put to get the shows together?
They glance at it and throw it on the ground, it seems. Yeah. But that's a lot different than today. And the platforms, you can just put your music out there now.
Yeah, Spotify has been, Reverb Nation is another good one for us.
Yeah.
For a chance to, it's cool because I've had people send me screenshots of their car where they'll be like, hey, we were just listening to Oasis and then you guys came up. Or listening to U2 and then you're here you are, sounds like. And I'm like, really? The one that got me is we did an interview a while back and it was for an Australia radio station. And the guy says, hey, somebody thought you guys were from Australia. And I'm like, no, we're from Wisconsin. And he's like, you know, and as he's interviewing us, he's like, man, he goes, I got to stop the show now. He's like, you guys, your voice sounds like the guy from REM. And I went, are you kidding me? I was like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, if I close my eyes and listen to you, he's like, I could say that I'm listening to REM. And I'm like, okay, that's one of our hugest influences, you know, growing up listening to it.
That's nice. I'm wondering who that is because I'm going to tell you about somebody I know in Australia that has a few radio stations that I'm going to give you his name in a minute. Yeah. So you say you were in the studio now, studio, or is it a home studio?
No, it's actually, we've got a full recording studio. Our bass player does this for on the side also. So it was funny because when he first came aboard, he was kind of lower key, didn't want to get too pushy with that. And we were going to a different studio, and he says, "Hey, I think I could probably do this at my place better than this guy's doing it for what he's charging." And I thought, what are we going to charge? What do you have? And he says,
Right.
well, it's a pretty nice setup. And I thought, okay, has he got a laptop? What's he doing? So I stopped over there one night, and I'm like, you actually have a real studio. Why didn't you tell me you had a real studio? He's like, well, I didn't want to influence it by me being part of the band. And I'm like, yeah, but we can record all the time here and get this done.
Yeah.
So we were really fortunate. I mean, his whole basement is an actual studio.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds good. Now, is he strictly digital, or are we throwing a little analog in
There's
there?
an analog in there too.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
You made my day. Yeah. So I love analog myself. I know a lot of new studios don't use analog much, but that old sound, that warm feeling, yeah.
It does. It really gives it that like comforting. You know what I mean? Like when you hear it, it's a softer.
Yeah. It's nice. I mean, so you get a little humming off an amp once in a while. Hey.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like for us with our sound, originally we came out with like the Fender twin tube amps where you got that warm sound.
Oh yeah.
It's like now we're using the box amps to just give us that. It's got that distinctive sound, and the Rickenbackers really do stand the test of time. I mean, we've had them forever, and we never go back to a different sound.
Well, that's one of my questions. I was noticing, are you playing the Rickenbacker?
Yeah.
Okay. How long you had it?
Well, I've been playing Rick since I was probably 16.
So you've been playing Ricks most of your life. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I started my band in 85. We went to 97, and I did try out a Rickenbacker for a little while. Unfortunately, it didn't have my sound that I needed. Mm-hmm. So I had to get rid of it and move on.
It's got a real jangly, if you're really chord progression orientated, it's perfect. And a lot of the effects, if you get a lot of the swirls, we use a lot of flanges, a lot of delays, it really picks that up clean.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful guitar sounded. Oh, I can't beat that. No, but just didn't fit the band I was in. So yeah, got to do it for you. Definitely. So you talked about dates that you have played and stuff. Now you talked about the biker blowout, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Now how did that go? A bunch of bikers and stuff like that? Because I've done a lot of biker shows and stuff. Great guys.
Yeah, it was this place is really kind of a neat venue. It's in Wisconsin, in the middle of nowhere, and it's this bar that's just known for promoting musical events like that. They have a huge outdoor pavilion. We went out there with the Band's End, a couple other harder bands, that were out there. There was a couple metal bands that came through. Fist Piston was pretty intense, and that's what we always bring. We're always the lightest band on the circuit, but the metalheads like it because we just get a little bit edgy once in a while, and everybody. I mean, we're kind of that chick genre '90s alt rock band. So if you grew up listening to it, you just still kind of it always has that warm feeling. You have something in your heart for it still.
Definitely. So, other shows you've done, and a show you've done, I don't know if it's one or more, but it means a lot to me that you did this because I do a lot of these as a benefit, and that was for the African children.
Yeah, so that thing's been near and dear to my heart forever. I'm a founding board member of that foundation, and what we've done is every $5,000 that we raise, we put a well in Africa. We started it years ago, and we sat down, myself, Sam Dinga. We tried to figure out. His sister passed away from drinking bad water in Africa, and when he came here, his mom told him always give back no matter how fortunate you are. So we started a program that's called Maka Water for All, and as we started working with the colleges, the local businesses, we would put together these. It started as a Weller's Walk, so we would get people together to do that walk, and as it got bigger and bigger, people just they took to it. They knew that they could make a difference. So
that's beautiful.
The benefit was phenomenal. We did that at Oso's Brewing, and Oso's Brewing Company in Stevens Point is probably one of the coolest venues I've ever played in my life. I mean, it's huge. It's huge, and for them guys too, back that benefit for us too. And as a band, we had some bands from Milwaukee that our old keyboard player from my college band actually played in the band from Milwaukee that we brought up, and they've always helped us out, do different things. We swapped shows. We had First Ave out of Point, kind of an acoustic trio that they've been around forever, bringing that kind of classic rock acoustic sound to it. So we like to do a mixture of styles. We want to make sure we've got a heavy band, an alternative band, an acoustic rock band, something for everybody. So
Yeah, you do. You actually do. Because I've been going through everything here and I'm loving it. I do. I like everything. And now, what is this? What was it, 5 years ago or so? You did a big rig show.
big rig show.
You were on a rig
Yeah.
on the street.
We're on the semi. That
Yeah.
so yeah. So
Yeah. Gotcha.
Central Wisconsin has been really good to us as far as showcasing us and getting us out there. So one year it was 4th of July, and for the parade, they had us as the headline thing going through the parade at the end of the parade to close the whole thing off. And we actually did 2 shows that day. It was funny because it was like 100 degrees out, and everybody in the band's always been like, "Oh, you make sure you're dressed for the look, and you're dressed for the look." And I was like, "Man, you guys are gonna be dressed for the look at 100 degrees. We're gonna pass out because it's so hot out
Right.
here." So we had a company that at the time, Wyland Trucking, had some flatbeds that they pulled us out on, and we hooked up to the generators, and it was funny because we turned the corner and you could hear every side of the road just go nuts because
That's beautiful.
they didn't know we were going to be doing this, but as soon as we turned the corner, it was like, here's local boys coming back home. It's really what it was.
I love that. That is cool. All right, Mike, you there?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Hey, so some way and somehow we drop, but sometimes that happens in No Cover TV podcast when we're doing remotes, people. We have technical difficulties sometimes, but we're back. Part 2. So we're gonna start off where we were there. Playing on that rig, of course. That was a lot of fun, and the people accepted you when you turned that corner. Boy,
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
I thought of it. A lot of it was, here are these guys that are local. They're from our area. They're from our town, and to be doing what we're doing, getting our music out there for everybody, the movies, the television, the videos, and every college station, pretty much in the Midwest has taken to us, so it was just a showcase of thank you for us, because we couldn't have done what we do and love without the support of the community.
That's great. Now, I'll ask this question. Do you have somebody doing any PR work for you on the side, or are you guys all doing everything?
So myself, we had years ago, we had managers, we had agents, and we went down that path with the radios, with the record companies, and back in the day, you needed that. You needed that person that knew the contacts. Today, it's a different ballgame. You don't need a record company anymore. You got the platforms like we talked about, but with Facebook, with Reverb Nation, and the other thing too, the bars and the venues have really changed as far as how they book bands now. Also, it used to be who they knew, what bands came through before. We talked to a lady Wednesday night. I was talking to the owner of Renee's Red Rooster, and she said that, how do we continue to have people come out and watch us play when, she said, some of these bands are struggling to get crowds? And she said, and it's not just new bands, it's older bands that have been around forever. And I said, the thing that I think we kind of saw is that people don't want to be out at 10 o'clock at night anymore and get there to 11. You know what I mean? Especially our crowd is an older crowd. I mean, yeah, we have a college crowd too, but we started playing 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and we started noticing the crowds got bigger.
I would say they would, yeah. Yeah. I noticed back in the day, 20 years ago, I would book the clubs and venues. It was the original music, but you paid at the door, and of course, everybody else got paid before the bands, and they usually got nothing hardly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's kind of like you said, it was who you knew and stuff like that. But we try to cater to most people, get their music out there. But it was based on a lot of times about how many people you brought through that door.
Yeah, and it still is about that though, And,
Yeah.
and what we found is that we all worked at big companies too. So when we first started, we had an instant pool of people that we knew. So that the
That's,
friends, the family, obviously those come out. It's funny though because they always say some of our biggest fans are still your family. You know, my
you know,
my parents still to this day they come out and the my mom last weekend when we played she said that was the best you guys have sounded. She said you could hear your vocals, you could hear the guitars, you could hear the drums, the background vocals were mixed in, and I'm like, wow, you're like an engineer here all of a sudden.
yeah, right. Bob calls shots. Oh, that's great. Oh, so where are we going to jump to now? What upcoming dates do we got?
So what we got coming up is we're actually gonna lock ourselves down in the studio. We're gonna
Oh, video
finish.
time.
Yep, time to get finished with the other recordings. We do have vocals are down, our scratch tracks are down, rhythm guitars recorded. We got some of the drums done. Now we're doing bass and lead guitar, and then we're gonna finish cleaning up some of the new songs that are coming out.
Nice, nice. I like that. So, how about videos? Any more of
Uh,
them coming?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some stuff in the works as far as let's get the songs done. Pieces, we've got some COVID videos that are out there that we've been releasing slowly. The COVID videos for pieces, it actually turned out really well.
Yeah.
Traveler is the one that I still to this day enjoy listening. And once it got out there, it was funny because that was one of the first songs we wrote during COVID. And I sat down and I started just kind of plucking out some single notes on the guitar. And, I thought, I want to write something that moves the whole time and gets the crowd to kind of sway. And that's where I started using the techniques of like the finger plucking, where you start
Yeah.
hearing like the bop, 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 bop,
Hmm.
bop. And, I was listening to some old Stone Roses and I kept thinking, man, these guys, they're kind of picking stuff out and adding notes that just it moves. When you're listening to them, your kind of body moves and it sways. So when we started writing Traveler, I thought, how do we put this as like a picture of a guy that's just moving from town to town, pub to pub, and everybody knows his vices. He knows all the bartenders, he knows all the girls, they all know his story, and you know,
Right.
so that's how Traveler came around. We just put it together, and it was I'm the traveler, I travel on.
I do like that song. It's real cool. It's real cool. Now, let's tell everybody out there in podcast land. Of course, you can listen to the Scarlet Curve. Mike's here talking to us. Where are the platforms that they can find you, and where can they get your merch, CD, or anything like that, Mike?
Our Facebook site, you can always send a message to the Facebook site, and if you want to order shirts, we've got all kinds of shirts. We got canned koozies, we got holders, we got CDs. If you want to hear the music, you can always go to Reverb Nation, just Spotify, Scarlet Curve, it's out there. Apple iTunes, pretty much anywhere that's got a platform, we're out there. The more you guys listen to it, the more we're going to put out.
That's beautiful, man. Take advantage of those platforms, people. And just get your music out there, just like I'm getting it out there today. So you can go ahead and hit that button because we're going to talk music in just a second. Listen to a little bit of that music for Scarlet Curve, and then we're going to talk about it. Now, I want to ask you a few other questions here. Now, let's go to this one right here. What do you think? It's in the 16, 17 years you guys been doing this. It's probably, I guess it's a wide question. Best show.
Honestly, I think our best show might have been that biker show last weekend or 2 weekends ago. Well, it was something that we were kind of worried about it because everybody had gotten a little busy. We hadn't practiced a lot, and we were going in there just blazing cold. We're like, we got no practice for a couple weeks behind us, and we've got a lot of new songs. And everything came together to the point where when we got done, I had a guy come up with me from the other band. He's like, I'm sitting there listening to you guys and going, holy cow, are these guys tight? I mean, their stops or starts, everything. But just, as a singer, the biggest thing is at what point do you know where your boundaries are as far as I can do this, I can do this, I can hit it, I can hit those notes, I can hit it without maybe hearing my guitar at the point. But the sound was great. the monitor mix was great. I mean, it was just mixed so well, but it was such a big system too that, it reminded me of like the Field of Dreams. You're literally in the middle of this cornfield with this huge pavilion. And I remember playing and looking out at the crowd and watching through the cornfield. I could see like a group of deer coming through, and I'm like, we get paid to do this. It's a awesome day. And people are coming up, and it's the coolest thing though is when you go into a town like that nobody knows who you are before you get there, and people are coming up to you after giving you their money to buy a T-shirt that they're gonna wear and show their support for you. It's like we sold all these shirts and all these merch stuff, and I came out of there going, this is really cool because I didn't even know how to get to the place where we were at. Never heard of it, and then to walk out of there. People at the end just, hey, come here, let's buy you a drink. And they'll tell you what song they thought was your best song, and that's where I always ask them, who do you think we sound like? As we start talking, and 95% of the people will sit there and they'll go, you know what? That is something that I would say normally most people will say, wow, you sound like this, or you sound like that. They'll say, you guys have a very unique, distinct style. I wouldn't say you sound like anybody but yourself.
I agree. I would totally agree with them. Totally agree with them. Now, I'm going to jump off music for a second. Me and you got to talk. I think me and you need to hang out and party, buddy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, I was checking you out. I do my snooping and stuff. That little beer challenge you did. You kind of failed at the end of it. All right. But I like you, brother. I like this.
So this thing came out of nowhere. We're at that biker fest, and all of a sudden I turn around and look, and there's this guy with like a master puppet string. And I'm like, what the heck is this thing?
Right.
So I'm watching this guy try it, and I'm like, I'm in, put me in, I'm in. I'll be the first one to say, if it's out there and it's a crazy challenge, I'll do it. So that thing's harder than you think it is.
It looked very hard. I would fail, obviously. I'd be wearing it too.
So you literally have to balance the cup of beer out in front of you, and by pulling the strings, and I thought, I got pretty good hand-eye coordination. I should be able to do this. And
right.
I was pulling the right string, pulling the left string. I had it flat, and I thought, okay, I can keep it flat, but to get it to pour is where it gets. So it ends up pouring all over your head eventually when you're wearing your beer.
Shower. That was beautiful. So yeah, we're gonna hang some day. I think you're not too far.
Yeah.
That's great. So a couple other questions before we talk about some songs here. So, and this goes over the 16 years. This is a wide question here, but you always still get that same feeling. How does it feel to get on that stage every time?
I don't know if anybody's never experienced the same high. Somebody asked me one time about that, like, what do you guys get out of that? And I'm like, it's a rush that you can never explain unless some people say, well, drug addicts can feel it. It's a high, and it is. It's, the moment that you hit that stage, you become a different person. You are a performer. You're there to perform. Bring your best for every act. And I tell our guys all the time, I don't care if there's 2 people in the audience or 2,000. You put on the show that somebody came to see because they came to see it. And I'll never give that feeling up of playing live. It's just it's something that you've chased your whole life, and when you get it, when you hit that last note of a song and you hear people applauding for you for all the work and the time, the effort that you put into a song, it's amazing. I remember the one time years ago we were playing, it's a thing called Salmonorama, and it's a huge thing in Racine for it's like a festival. And I remember at the time we had a song called Merry-Go-Round, and we got started in the song, and they were singing it to us louder than we were singing back. And I was
like, real special. That means a lot.
Dude, it blew me away. I'm not kidding you. I mean, it took everything for me not to start crying, because I'm like, oh my God, this is like our song. There's hundreds of people that are singing it back to us, and that's kind of where, some of our songs now have gotten, where, you're playing these venues and you look over and, the bartender's singing the lyrics back to you. So
it definitely, when I would hear it, it'd bring me back to when I wrote the song, and then hearing people, and if I MC show the crowds and stuff like that, the things they would say. So yeah, it means it brings your heart to a big place. And of course, what you're doing, and making your heart big, but also on the other end, you're making their heart big with a big smile with what you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys are really, like, say, groovy. I like that word. Groovy. So, all right, let's get into some music. Let's talk music here. All right, people out there, podcast land, get on Spotify, wherever, but get to Scarlet Curve. Scarlet Curve. You know how to spell. Let's do this, people. All right, we're going to talk about a few songs here. Number one, Old Man. All right, I like that. Lots of fun and groovy sound of that. Let's talk about that one.
So, Old Man, originally, when we first started writing it, it was actually started out as a sand cover song from way back when. And at the time, Tony was from Belfast, Ireland, so he brought over that Celtic, almost like a jivey Celtic jig, so we added our portion to it and we changed it around to make it our sound now, adding the grunginess of the licks behind it. It's got that hook, and then once the biggest thing we see with that song is people always ask, what the heck is that thing he's blowing on? The diz.
I like this a lot.
Yeah, so the diz, I learned how to play the didgeridoo. There was a couple bands from Australia that they brought it out a couple shows that we were touring with, and I said, by the end of the tour, I'm going to learn how to play that. And I don't know if you've ever played any wind instrument or ever, but it takes a lot to learn how to play those things. And the diz is very similar, where you're rotating your breath through your mouth and you're getting it to go through the instrument. So as I started to learn to play it, we added it, and it's going to be something that we add more and more to our newer sound too. It's something you don't see, and when people see it, they stop and they look and they listen right away. They're like, whoa.
They do. What's this? Exactly. Yeah. It definitely fulfills the song more. Definitely.
It's actually, truthfully, the dish moment when we open up with Old Man for the intro of that is there's more pictures of that taken during the show at that particular moment than ever.
Really?
Yeah, because it stops the whole. I mean, everybody drops what they're doing and they start looking because they start hearing the coming through, and then what we do with how we've got it synchronized together, it catches to everybody.
I like that. I like that a lot. All right, let's go to the next one. We talked about this earlier quite a bit, but hey, I got to talk about it again. Traveler. It's got that blues song.
So Traveler is quickly becoming one of my favorite songs to play. In fact, we moved it up to the opener song in the set because it was such a cool. I mean, it grabs you right away. I mean, where are these guys from? How do they write this? So, like I said, that was one of our first COVID songs written. I sat down and, a lot of times when I write, I might go on a spurt where I won't write for a while, and then all of a sudden I'll sit down and just boom, the floodgates open again, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, put the brakes on. We're not booking any shows. We're just going to get a new CD out. We're going to start writing now. And Traveler was the beginning of that. This last couple of years here, where I sat down and I said, okay. I was listening to some Stone Roses, and if you haven't had a chance to check them guys out, Stone Roses are definitely a cool band.
Writing that down.
House of Love was another band that I was listening to, and then Affleck's Palace is a new one that just really jumped out there. And I was like, okay, they've got these really cool hooks, and they're kind of bluesy, but not really. So I was like, how do we write that style? And I started just playing around, and the guitar came first, and it was like I had the finger pulls, bum 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 bum, and then we added it behind the guitar and the drums, and I said on the drums on this song, we don't need them to be all over the place. You almost just need them to be very, almost just hi-hat-ish, just clicking out, and then we added into the crunchiness of the leads on top. And then Paul putting his bass part to it just really finished up that song. And it's one of those songs that the first time we play it in places that we hadn't played for a while, again, people just stop and turn and they go, whoa, okay, this is it. Here we are.
Yeah, I like that. I like that song a lot. Definitely. Now let's go to the next one. And I like this. Sleepwalk. I like the guitars at the beginning, the drums. You throw that punk style in there.
Yeah, so Sleepwalk, to this day, there's never been a time that we play that song that I don't just have a smile from ear to ear on my face because Joel's guitar portion in this song is just, he's flying. I mean,
Yeah,
every time we get into that lead part, I just start cracking up because we get done playing that and everybody says, man, is that dude talented? And I'm like, I know. I was like, the dude can play. I mean, it's just, but that was a great example of let's take something a little edgier and let's add some smoother vocals behind it. And it's got a punch. I mean, it comes out there.
it
But
was.
the breakdown in the beginning was something that our drummer came up with, where you've got that, it comes out right away, just boom, boom. Here we are.
Yeah, it's in your face. I like that.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So we're gonna probably talk about another, and then we're gonna probably wrap it up. But you got a piece of paper and pencil near you, Mike?
Let me grab one. I can grab one.
All right, everybody. While he's grabbing a piece of pencil and paper, Scarlet Curve, check them out on the platform. Spotify is a good place. Check them out on the platforms. And go to their Facebook page if you want some merch and CDs. And of course, check out all the previous shows on No Cover TV Podcast and the upcoming shows, which are awesome. And we're going all over the world, people. We got them coming from everywhere. So we'll see where Mike's at. You got that paper and pen yet, buddy?
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to write down Ralphie's Music of the World.
Okay.
All right. He will accept, your music with a bio. He has 4 radio stations. He's out in Australia. He'll put you on.
Sounds good.
You tell him I sent you, all right? Please.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're going to love this guy. He's crazy. He's great. So, Ralphie's out there in Australia. He's got the unsigned radio stations, Sparky's Radio. He does stuff for the veterans, too. So I like that. Definitely. And then he's got Ralphie's Music of the World. So it's about support your original local and national music scene like Scarlet Curve here. You guys rock. You're awesome, Mike. You guys are. It is. So one other question. Well, I'm just going to touch on a song. Let's touch on this for briefly. Zodiac. Wasn't that about Lake Michigan a little bit?
Yeah, it is actually. That's funny that you got that. So,
yeah.
It's Lake Michigan. Everybody always forgets about how cool of an area that really is. So it was one of those things where you can sit on the rocks and you can look out at the ocean and the waves crashing in. And, it was, well, what has my child done? And I thought, there's your mom sitting there making sure that everything is supposed to be going good for your kids. And, what do you do in this relationship? A lot of our stuff I write, it's about maybe a time in your life that you've experienced, maybe a heartbreak, or maybe you're trying to see what these other people are going to, you watch a lady walking down the beach and she's crying. What happened to her? You kind of try to make up these stories as you write these songs about, what has her child done? The time slips away, and it was that kind of very delayedy, picky, almost that Streets Have No Name, U2 kind of sound in there, where it just comes in there underneath this, just flows, and then we added a lot of the flanges that get to that swirls and they come back in.
I like that a lot. I like the how you put that, the story behind it. I like that because each song has its own story. Definitely. So everybody out there, check out Scarlet Curve. Mike, I've had a great time with you today. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you. So pass this around. I do the interviews. I get in your head, but I expect everybody out there, get off your butt. Get on your phone or computer and look these guys up on a platform. Scarlet Curve, all right? Check them out. You're not going to be disappointed. You're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to do a dance like I do where nobody sees you.
Right.
Because you can't help it with your music. It's great, Mike.
Awesome. Well, that means a lot. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, last question. What's the future look like for Scarlet Curve? Say 5, 10 years. What do we got going? What are you looking for?
It's bright. The future is incredibly bright. I think we're going to be writing some of our best music as we just grow. I mean, you think about how long it takes you to become a real musician. You just need to continue to grow as a band, but as an individual too. And I think, I've been playing a long time doing bands and stuff, but I find myself still growing as a musician and learning how to keep going. The music business isn't easy. You're not getting rich overnight. You're doing it because it's a passion. So I don't think I'll ever lose that passion. Somebody once said that, Yoko Ono didn't kill the Beatles. Time killed the Beatles, and I think at some point everything comes to an end, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
No, I don't see it either with your music because you changed up and you got that groovy sound, like I said. And I see you going places, and you've already gone. So
Yeah.
wow, wow.
Yeah, like I said, we've been very thankful. We've been very fortunate. We've been able to do more than most bands can do in a career, and we just, like I said, we're thankful for what we got.
Beautiful, beautiful. Everybody out there, when you Scarlet Curve is out and about, check them out live, get the swag and support, support, support. Like I say, and just get out there. The original music is a cool scene out there. Whatever genre you listen to, just listen to it, all right, at whatever age group. Because what do you think of some of these kids out there playing?
There's some cool stuff that are coming out. We've got a younger band that we play with called Scorch Waves, and they're based out of Point, and they're kind of doing that college thing, but they're starting to make a good name for themselves. You know what I mean? They get together, they got a decent following, and we've been, we see some pretty cool stuff from coming out of some of the younger kids that you wouldn't think, the college crowd, they put together some of the acoustic folky stuff, and, it's a different style that's catchy for some,
It is.
so, there's still that the alternative style though is never going to go away.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I've had a few young artists, 17, 16 and 8, 17 on the show. It amazes me. It just amazes me. I wasn't that good at that age.
Yeah.
So it took a little time. But
Yeah.
anyways, everybody out there, thank you for joining the No Cover TV podcast. I'm Big Al, your host. You want to get a hold of me? You know how to get a hold of me. Come on, No Cover TV at the Facebook page. Or get a hold of Al Brady, me. Yeah, me on Facebook page personally. Or you can drop, there's a button under here, the podcast. You can send me a question there. And most of all, I'll probably find you. And that's a little different if I do that. Somebody really get personal with you. So I want to thank Mike Alvarez from Scarlet Curve for representing the band and the guys out there. Thank you so much, my friend.
Yep, not a problem.
So they're out there, get their swag and everything. Where can they find you one more time?
Scarlet Curve on Facebook, Reverb Nation, Spotify, Apple iTunes.
I like it. Can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Good deal. So on that note, thank you, Mike. As you hear the end of the show, you got anything to anybody to thank? Say props to?
I want to say, just like I said, our family, our community, the guys in the band, everybody that stuck behind us to let us do what we do. Truly from the bottom of our heart, thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. I'm gonna keep my eye on you. I want you back on the show 6 months to a year, so see where you're at. Definitely.
Sounds good.
Definitely. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Support Scarlet Curve out there. And thank you, everybody out No Cover TV podcast. Check out the next episode, which will be tomorrow. So check that out. I can't wait for that one. That's going to be a crazy one, too. So thank you, Mike. I will talk to you soon, brother. Have a good one. We're out here. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.